We're about to go live, guys. We're just going to wait a few moments for you guys to hop on. We're super excited about Season 1, Episode 3 of Paradigm of Profit. We're just going to wait a couple of seconds here, Sunita, for a couple of folks to jump on here and get the engagement up here. I want to thank all of you guys for watching, though.
Yes, thank you, everybody that's here today. This is kind of a little deviation, but we're really excited about this episode.
Let's kick off the show.
Let's go.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Paradigm of Profit. This is our third show now, and we're super excited to be with you live and on scene here. Well, we're at an undisclosed location. We can't tell you where we're at today.
Well, let's suffice it to say we're really excited about setting it up this way a little differently, because we're going to be able to recap some of the key points that we've been seeing reoccurring themes as we've been speaking to our entrepreneurs and business owners.
We're super excited. We've had the opportunity to continue to learn and hone our own skill sets as we've interviewed and met with these entrepreneurs, which is the exciting part. We're both able to bring our respective passions together and leverage them to bring you educational content that's also entertaining. So we're super excited.
Yeah, today we're going to be reviewing some of those concepts, and I'll have the opportunity to really speak about the neuroscience behind what you saw happening in the interviews from the first two episodes.
Definitely. So as Sunita alluded to, we'll go ahead and roll that clip now. And what we'll do is we're going to show you several clips. And as we show you those clips, we're also going to take a brief moment to pause and let Dr. Punjabi Trevino. I always get confused. Just Dr. Trevino.
Yeah.
The brain coach.
Dr. Sunita.
Dr. Sunita, the brain coach. She's going to explain what, at a neuroscience level, what that means to you and your business as you continue to build that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll clip number 1, okay?
Let's do this. So in one sentence, tell us a little bit about your business. What would you say?
Sure, we're a neighborhood business. I always say we serve San Antonio style food, things that are familiar to us, but with a little twist. Sangria obviously is the name, but it's also what we make. Fresh juices, fresh margaritas. Kind of do things the hard way, little old school style, but I think that's what works, and that's what I've been taught, and that's what Sangria strives to be.
Yeah.
All right, so that was clip number 1, and there you saw the owner of Sangria on the Berg, Mr. Cesar Cepeda, and Dr. Sunita. He was talking about, I like that, how you made that easy for me. Dr. Sunita, tell us a little bit about mission statements as it relates to one's personal values.
When you look at business success, Carlo, and we look at people that are successful in business, you're going to find that the direction, the mission, the general vision of their business comes from their personal values. And your personal values come from your life experience. So a lot of people are trying to follow what someone else is doing. Don't do that. Your business, your projects, your desire, I don't know which, am I looking at
seven? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so I'm still learning about cameras, but what you're supposed to do and what you're called to do on this planet, like your contribution to humanity, if you want to look at it that way, your business, whatever it is, should come out of what you personally feel is important. Don't follow anyone else. Follow your calling. Follow your values.
And so what was your feedback as you met with Cesar? As we met with Cesar, what impression did you get in terms of his value set?
Well, you can see that for him, creating an environment like Cheers, kind of like where everybody comes in and they felt connected and they felt welcome. So what research is finding is when you manifest and you live your values in your work, especially, right? Because we're talking about entrepreneurship. When you live your values and you find people that are like-minded, and he talked about hiring the right people, if you watch that entire episode. So he was spot on with living his values and hiring the right people. So, so your question to me was about the mission, and when you have a mission or a purpose, and honestly, I want to explain the difference between purpose and mission. Purpose is an overall why you do what you do. It's your why. It's the essence. A mission really is how it's going to manifest and how it looks. So purpose, for example, if we were to interview Cesar, is having people feel connected so they know that they matter, for example, and delighting people and rejoicing in life. And that's why he owns a restaurant. Now his mission is to create a restaurant or an environment. And so the mission becomes a manifestation, an expression of overall purpose. A lot of people tell me that, well, my purpose is to raise my children and be a good mom. Actually, the way you raise your children and being a good mom is an expression of your purpose. It's not all your purpose is about. Your purpose will be expressed in different projects you take on, how you volunteer your time, and it expresses itself in the business that you own and you develop.
So a pretty powerful message there that we're taking away. And I think that's something that's really refreshing to hear. You know, I've been in business now for a few years now, as well as yourself, Doctor. And mission is always kind of textbook. You know, we see a lot of business owners really use the cliche or think about the cliche meanings of what a mission statement is. This is what we're going to go ahead and do. However, I like your perspective in that you're teaching that mission equals your own personal value set. And I think that's really important, especially when you're trying to build a company culture that resonates with that value set, because otherwise you're just kind of taking a blanket, generic approach in building your company. And I think the companies that last, as we've seen, Google, Amazon, typically speaking, they're known for a culture that people like to, where they like to be, where they like to work. So love it. How about we roll the next clip, okay?
Let's do that.
All right.
So the research that we're doing finds that when we take what we're passionate about and what as our purpose, right, on this planet, like as a person. So what would you say, and you know, we don't expect it to be perfect, we're alive today, what's the mission, do you think, of Sangria in your business?
Oh man, I want to be here to serve my community, and not just obviously serving food and serving drinks, but also being a good boss, being here for my staff, and hopefully them growing with me, and it is a team. It's not called Caesars. It's called Sangria, and it's Team Sangria that keeps this place going. And I love it. I love employing people. That's been probably the most giving thing to me that I take away from it every day. Ups and downs, of course, like everything else. But I think our mission is just to be a stable for San Antonio, a place they can come in and know they're going to have good service, and people you know, like that Cheers effect. Who doesn't like that? Know their name and know when they come in, and have a place where they can come in, feel comfortable, be themselves, and feel like they can bring the rest of their family and friends here as well.
Wow, that was pretty powerful, coming from, again, an entrepreneur who's put all his blood, sweat, and tears into Sangria on the Berg, and now reaping his, those rewards. Sunita, tell us a little, Dr. Sunita. I'm sorry. Listen, you guys are going to have to forgive me. This is doctor for your purposes, but for me, when I'm not on, the couch getting diagnosed, it's just Sunita. So tell us a little bit about the power of purpose.
Yes, and I want to say for my fans out there in Chicago, I am Dr. ABD, which means I still have to turn in my last measures to the university. But what I wanted to say is that what you saw in Cesar was he organically, he didn't even have to think about it, how he wanted to build his business. And this is an individual that is successful because he followed what matters to him. Like in his life, what he wanted to manifest, he's expressing that in his business. And you'll find, Carlo, people that express in their business what really matters to them are organically motivated, get up early, are willing to stay late because it matters to them. And what's really important is that a lot of business owners, Carlo, make the mistake of trying to duplicate something that's not true to them. There's a saying, and that's to thyself be true, right? So when you're looking at a business, when you're looking at any, again, I keep taking not just business, if you guys are not in business that are tuning in, Any project that you take on, make sure it's an expression of you. Be true to yourself. What's important to you. Now, a lot of people, that's kind of the thing, is a lot of people don't know what really matters to them. And so we should do a whole separate show probably on finding what are your values. And so what we could do, Carlos, we can list, if you join our group, we can probably put some handouts and put some activities that are phenomenal.
That'd be great.
At isolating values.
Yeah, now talking about what matters to you, we actually had the opportunity to ask Caesar what mattered to him. And so why don't we go ahead and look at his response now?
Okay, excellent.
What a lot of people don't know, Cesar, actually is, and I think you've mastered this, is a lot of the public doesn't know what really matters to them. How did you find out what really mattered to you? Was there just times, or just were you always just
To our guests?
to your guests, to you as a person? How did you know?
I think hospitality and I'm a little selfish in the fact that I love making a drink and watching people try it, or making a dish and watching people try it. There's not many industries where you can have like instantaneous gratification, right? Where you see people, they close their eyes, they eat, they're like, oh my God, it's delicious.
Yeah.
I'm lucky in the fact that I get to see that, and that's on my side. I think that I see people do that. It's attractive. It's addictive.
Yeah, pretty impressive. I think you're right on the money. I really, really appreciate those points that you bring out about what matters to oneself. Can you, for the viewers' purposes, for those who haven't had the opportunity to meet with you, so often as I have, expound on that a little bit. Why is understanding, being aware of what matters to oneself, why is that so important?
When you look at anything that you're going to do in life, long run, you're going to be successful as long as you stick with it. Truly. I mean, there's anything that you do, as long as you keep trying, you're going to be successful. And what we find is, though, a lot of people quit because they haven't found it doesn't mean anything to them. Ultimately, if you study Maslow's hierarchy, right, of human needs, the highest human need is self-actualization. And according to Maslow, very few people find self-actualization. Yeah. We're talking about Maslow's hierarchy, and am I just checking straight camera? Just camera?
Yeah, it's
okay,
good.
Great. So we're talking about Maslow's hierarchy, and Carla was asking, what is it about, why do we have to follow our values? Because when anything you're going to do, you've got to be able to stick with it long run. Any venture, anything, you're going to very often mess it up. That's just how success looks. Success never looks like a straight line, right? Success is like all over the place, right? So the thing is, to be able to be successful, if you know you're going to have to stay with it long run, it's easier to be committed, Carlo, to something that you find value, like it really matters to you. You pop out of bed, you're willing to stay late, you're willing to do those things that others won't because you believe in this. So to be organically motivated is why I would answer, why do you need to do things that are important to you? And the things that are important to you are actually came out of our life experiences. And no one has those. So if I try and emulate what's important to Carlo and do a business based on what's important to Carlo, I'm not going to have the success because it's important to Carlo, not to me. Does that make sense?
And so it does make a lot of sense. Now we're going to go ahead and move on just for the sake of time. But
yes.
The next subject that I'd like to kind of just put out there is in terms of inspiration. A lot of times as an entrepreneur, we look for resources to become inspired. What I like about your methodologies are that you actually ask us to look within first.
Yes.
And so we had the opportunity last week in episode 2 to talk to Dr. Vernon William,
right,
who's probably the epitome of looking in oneself and finding that inspiration. Why don't we go ahead and roll that clip, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it.
Let's do that.
Okay.
We had this idea as a neuroscientist, as a psychologist and counselor. One of the things I realized that the entrepreneurial mindset is a unique mindset. And but all of us have the ability to go for it, to create a vision that we have into reality. So I got the idea with Carlo to feature entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things. Tell us a little bit. Do you remember that moment when you were inspired?
Yes, you get your heel get cut, and that instant says you're about to die. I mean, my life, I'm only 9 years old.
Right.
I felt I was about to die.
Yeah, it's the end of the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I go to this doctor, and he did miracles, and he fixed me up, and it was suddenly, whoa. And that's what really made a difference.
And that's exactly what it looks like. You're young. This is usually when it happens. And something impacts you, and whether you know it or not, and I hope today you begin to crystallize when was that, but you were inspired. And you felt like he made a difference. When I look at, if you think about what you do today, when I say optimize, can you all see that what he is doing today at his practice is a fulfillment of what he experienced when he was a 9-year-old. He optimizes people. He gives them the best life possible. And for a 9-year-old, that's what that doctor did. He might have put in a few stitches, but to you, he got you back on the road, right? And gave you your life back.
I want to make sure that I'm the best, because I can't make someone better if I don't be part of it. For the first time as a physician, I was a patient.
Right.
And as a patient, over the next 10 years, I was seen by an endocrinologist specialist. And I thought I would be better, but I was getting worse.
Right.
And I said to myself, you know something? I gotta fix myself. And that's when I really started changing what I did. I started going to CMEs, continuing medical education, started to look up things, to review things, and try to make things better for myself. And so that's what started me on this route, because I needed to fix myself.
So pretty powerful message Dr. Williams had the opportunity to share with us. And I'll tell you personally, I think one of the things that I really appreciated is how our experiences, even at a tender age, really impact us throughout our whole lives. In this particular case, he leveraged it for, as a positive. Dr. Sunita, talk to us a little bit about inspiration and why that's so effective in building one's business.
See, in those moments, like for example, what Dr. Williams was sharing with us, I call teaching moments. Inside the neurology, if we were to cut a brain open, we would see that some of these memories are almost hardwired. They're so deep. And if we looked at almost the use of the brain and what pathways have been traveled, what neuronal pathways have been traveled, the ones that were teaching moments for you are literally like a highway for you, where other ones are little side roads, I call them. But the ones that are your teaching moments are wired in, and the way you know your teaching moments are they're in color. They're lucid. You can remember them where you were at, and they really affected who you are today. And the reason they do that is because the brain has played them so many times. So from those memories, from those experiences, from those teaching moments, we got hardwired, and we also got our values. And so when we use those teaching moments as a source of direction, how do we build our business? What got created in that teaching moment? What did we learn? And are we expressing that in our businesses today?
Well, that's pretty important, I think. And if you're taking note of important points, I would certainly hope to see that in your notebook there. Before we move any further, we want to acknowledge everyone who's very appreciatively, as we are, hopped onto the live show here. We've got a few folks. Who's come on so far?
We have Miss Isabel Rubio. We have, I've got Devin Trevino. We've got, of course, Marcos Rubio, Dorian, Joel. Welcome, Dorian.
Dorian Joel, how are you, buddy?
Yeah.
Talking about successful entrepreneurs, I already told him we want to interview him probably moving forward. So,
that would be awesome.
Yeah, good guy.
We've got a lot of great people. We have Ayana Villarreal on today. I know we've got Vanessa also sending in some questions. Would you like should we go ahead and take a moment and answer some of these questions?
Sure, let's go ahead and do that now. What do you have? Question number
so
one.
first thing I've got from Mr. Marcos Rubio, and that is, how do you find your niche in starting a business? And that question correlates very well with your values, what we were just talking about. Your niche is something that you're really good at and is important to you. So that's sort of the combination of what I would call a niche. So your niche, look at your past. And I was telling you earlier, look at those teaching moments. What got created? What needed to happen during those teaching moments to solve that problem that you were experiencing in that teaching moment? A lawyer who's a great litigator, for example, he might find that one of his teaching moments was when he was advocating for his little brother. This is a real client I worked with. We found out that the niche and what inspired him was advocating for people that didn't have a voice. He would advocate for his little brother when he was younger. So he was a naturally good advocator. He was a naturally good person in court because to him, people needed someone to advocate for them, right? It was a value that got created when he was about the age of 5 or 6 years old. So look at those teaching moments in your life, and that will help you create a niche. And that also, by the way, is access to your why. Take that moment that you learned something and see what was wrong, what problem needed to be solved, and that's going to help you access your why, which is very important. Those of you that are involved in the world of business literature, those of you that are involved in business growth, why? What's your why? What's your why? Learn what your why is from those teaching moments.
Excellent points. Excellent points. So shall we move forward? We've got just one more point here talking about solving problems, the importance of solving problems. And I think that's a big takeaway that we certainly want our viewers out there to learn from. So I'm going to go ahead and roll that clip.
Yep. Yes. Do you see the parallels? So he had that experience happen when he was 9 years old. Then in 1991 had a pituitary gland issue, and the things that affected him, that personally affected him, are the things that he specializes in today. And that's totally the right way to build a business. Follow your passions. The theme, the sub theme of our show is purpose, passion, and when you pursue your purpose and you have passion, profit will follow. We believe that money follows passion. And it's very clear that you have followed your passions.
Yes, the problem was what the endocrinologist, he was putting a Band-Aid over my problem. He wasn't trying to dig deep to find the cause of my problem. He wasn't trying to fix the problem. And I learned that if we don't fix problems, our patient will get.
Okay. Well, great information there about solving problems. Educate us a little bit about, at the neuroscience level, why that is important for an entrepreneur.
When we experience something that impacts us, and I'm going to call them again teaching moments, there was a problem that and usually it's when you're a child, there was a problem that you saw the world having. And that's an access to your why. It's an access to your values. So when you solve that problem in your business, you're going to find, again, it's your niche. It's also what you're really good at. There's research from Dr. William Glasser and the book is called Positive Addiction, if you want to look at it. And basically a positive addiction is anything that you're really good at. If you do it again and again, it grows confidence in other areas. So Cesar, for example, or Dr. Williams, for example, they're very good. Cesar is very good at maybe connecting people, making people feel welcome. Dr. Williams is really good at solving problems permanently, doing the research to give you an answer. So these are probably things that in their youth, they saw as a problem, a need that needed to be completed. If we look at social entrepreneurship, and if you can put up the graphic, social entrepreneurship this is just a quick summary, but social entrepreneurship is where What matters to you solves a problem in community. And this is called a sweet spot. A sweet spot is where your values, your personal purpose, or call it mission if you'd like, because I know that's a popular term, whatever matters to you is actually providing a valuable service in the world. So social entrepreneurship is where people are owning businesses, but they're solving real problems in our community. And I want to tell you, a lot of entrepreneurs are out there doing that already. They just don't know it. And one of the things that we really want to accomplish in our show is to help entrepreneurs that are even already successful know why they're successful so they can do it intentionally by design. And those entrepreneurs that you see that are doing it intentionally by design go to even another level because they're very clear about why they're doing what they're doing, and they share it. They make it a part of their brand. They make it part of why they advertise. They put the logo out there. It sort of becomes their subheading under their, the company logo. So, for example, ours is Paradigm of Profit is the name of our show, but really what we believe and what you and I stand for is that it is purpose, passion, and then profit, because then you bring value, and in that order.
Well, I certainly do appreciate you being a part of the show. I learn so much every single week just listening to the advice and just the observations that you make about what each entrepreneur's journey has been and why it's been, more importantly. Again, going back to everyone's purpose and passion, if you combine those, then you'll certainly realize better profits.
And Carl, I wanted you to know, and I want the audience to know, so I'm not the expert in everything, and I think Carla's very generous with this compliment. You guys know what you're going through. Please engage with us. Send us your questions. And if whatever I don't know, I promise I can access the research, get you guys the latest in neuroscience to answer questions. Let's be successful with information so that way we can shortcut our mistakes, right? Kind of make life easier for us. But you guys are the experts on your needs. We're just the experts on science and research, and between the two of us, we're going to have some real problems being solved.
Well, we're here basically to help you hack your way to success. Just not short. I don't like the word shortcut anymore. With all due respect. You know why? Because it involves maybe not working as hard. Like, I like hacking.
Yeah, okay.
Just because hacking, I mean, you're still strategizing. You're still trying to... What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's a whole nother series. It's a whole show. Because
Stay tuned to episode 4.
That's a limiting belief that life has to be hard. Okay. And maybe it has to be hacked. We'll talk about that next episode. Okay.
And so also next episode, we have another successful entrepreneur that runs a very delicious restaurant here. Tell us about it.
Yes, India Palace. You guys will be hearing about one of the most famous restaurants in San Antonio. Amazing food, but really it's a family-run business, and how the owners have done that. We're going to be talking more about that next show.
So I'm super excited about that. I hope you guys are as well. And if you have any questions, before let's answer any more questions that we might have.
Yes. Let me see if I can pull those up. So I'm so not literate with all of this, but we're getting there.
We're both working on it. So.
How do we build a great company culture?
Oh, great question.
Yeah. Be true to your values. That was an excellent question from Miss Rubio. Be true to your values. And what we know is that surround yourself with people that are like-minded. If you guys looked at, I refer to Simon Sinek's talk when we talk about the law of diffusion. And when you're trying to build a business and you're on that up curve on the law of diffusion, you want to surround yourself with like-minded people, and you have similar minds, and that's going to create a company culture. So I wanted to answer that. I hope I answered that. If there's any more questions, let me know. I don't know why I can't go to the other questions. Let me give that to you.
Let's see what other questions we've got here.
You want to exit? There you go.
So that was a great question, though, I must admit. Let me see here.
I know that another one of the... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Another one of the questions that we had was, why is it important that we have people... I think, let me check that.
Yeah, I think it's just slow loading, but...
Yeah. So what the question was is, why is it important that we surround ourselves with like-minded people? What is that difference? And I think that when you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're a startup company, You don't want to invest a lot of time convincing people. There's enough people in the world that think like you do, that have similar values. In fact, you'll find that if you look at the human population, there's actually a very short list of values. It's not like someone in Africa could have a dramatically different value than you do. You'll find is that as human beings, we all share some basic common values because we all share basic human needs, right? We're all bleed red. We're all human beings. We're all really one family. So if you can find people that are like you don't have to convince anyone of your viewpoint. Surround yourself with those people. It also edifies you. It validates your values. And those people, like-minded people, contribute to the development of your vision, and they share that vision with you.
So I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of audience members on the spot, since we can't seem to see the rest of the questions, and hopefully they're ready. So we're going to go ahead and go live over here behind the scenes. You guys are the first to see this, by the way. And so we're going to go ahead and flip. But first, here's an instruction. I want you to go ahead and say your first name only, because we don't want any cyber stalkers, all right? So just your first name and what your question is, okay? I'm going to flip to you. Are you ready? You ready?
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Vanessa, and I was wondering, so if you feel like you haven't found your sweet spot, is that a possible indicator that, this isn't the right business for you, where you should be pursuing something else?
Wow. I'll tell you what, Vanessa's wise beyond her years.
Well,
what a great question.
And I had that question actually in a phone call this morning. So your sweet spot...
Was it Vanessa on the phone?
No, it wasn't
Okay,
Vanessa.
I was going to say, that's a little redundant, but okay.
No. Unless Vanessa was 55 years old, but no. And that's a great question. And Vanessa's 19, and the question was asked by a 55-year-old this morning. So it's a very common question. So your sweet spot is a composition of what matters to you and how you're expressing it. So anything that you do can be your sweet spot. Okay. For example, one of my early clients was, I give this story all the time. She basically was serving an assembly line of dipping chicken. Okay. And she was very bored. It was just part of dipping chicken. She wasn't the cashier. She was just in the line of getting the chicken fried. And she never saw that as fulfilling. But when we created, and this is based on logotherapy and Dr. Viktor Frankl's work, when you create meaning, okay, for example, a lot of you guys know before I got my research done and before I did my PhD work, I was also working in financial services. And I'm thinking psychologist doing financial services, or I did other things like I was running a small office. I did those jobs before I became got my PhD. So I had to find a way to live my purpose inside of everything that I did. So it really doesn't matter. And I want people to know, you don't have to quit your job. You don't have to change your business. What matters to you? What are your values, and how can you express them and where you are? And there's a saying, blossom where you are planted. Now, there might be a time that you'll decide, no way can I live my values in what I'm doing. And there's some things that I've been asked to do, like, there's no way I can fulfill on my values in this. Then I made a change. But mostly, your values can be expressed in a lot of different places.
There's a famous quote out there, I think it was in the movies, just, you can do it. So as long as you know that. Now, we go ahead and go back behind the scenes now, Doctor, and we've got another question lined up. So let's go ahead and go there now. Go ahead and say your first name and what your question is.
Hi, my name's Ayana, and my question was, would you say if you're more money motivated than organically motivated, your passion could fall off, leading to a possible higher risk of business failure?
There's amazing stuff that in that question. So she's saying if you're more money motivated, is it possible, and rather than being organically motivated? So I want to handle that first of all. So all motivation is organic. Real motivation is organic. It's never like someone holds a gun to your head and says, you got to be motivated. So if it's real motivation, it's coming from inside. So it's naturally organic. Now, what you're going to find, though, money is not a motivator. It's what money represents. And a lot of people tell me that when I ask them, what's your why? They're like, well, I want to have a lot of money. You don't want to have a lot of money. Money is just paper, okay? What you want is what money represents. What is the value of money to you? So we're going to put that values exercise down. And see, to me, money means that I can write a check for something that needs my help. Like, I don't have to run around, I can just write a check. That's what money means to me. And to be able to solve problems for people, it's what money means to me, right? And for example, my children, a lot of people say, my children are my purpose. I need to have money to take care of my kids. That's not actually true either. You need money to take care of your kids, but really very often it's because you want to be a role model to your kids. So now we're kind of peeling the onion. We go, well, why do you want to take care of your kids? Like, why does that matter? And if you go even deeper, you're going to find that really it's because you want your kids to have a better life than you. Well, why do you want your kids to have a better life than you? If you keep going down and deeper and deeper and deeper, you're going to find there's a core value there. And that's when you hit your why, your real why.
There's actually a really great professional, I guess is the best way to. I don't really know what he does other than public speaking, and Simon Sinek. So for those of you who are familiar with the gentleman, you probably saw his really famous TED Talk called The Golden Circle, and he talks about the power of why. And I believe that's kind of one of the things that you're alluding to.
Sort of.
Okay.
And I love Simon Sinek. Here's the thing, though. He tells you to use your why, but a lot of people, Carlo, have no clue how to find it.
Okay.
And today's show, if you listen to what we've been saying today, go to those teaching moments. Find the why. What I do in the retreats that we do, we'll be talking more about it on the show. Like, you don't have to come to a retreat. But what we are going to be talking about is how to find that why. And the research is amazing. Like, literally, if I could look into your brains, I would tell you it is a neuronal pathway that's been walked so many times, and it's right in front of us, the why, but there's a method to get to it. So I love Simon Sinek. He says to find your why. He says to use your why. My question is, and this is what I haven't seen a lot of literature on, what is your why? How do you find your why? So we're going to be talking about that, and we did today, actually.
Awesome. Well, again, a lot of great information that we hope to continue to share with you. The shows are going to continue to evolve. They're going to continue to get better. And also, we're very, very excited about providing you all with additional content that will complement what you see during these live shows on Mondays. So we're getting there. The show's going to get bigger and better.
Yes. No, I'm so excited about presenting the latest literature to you. I'll be quoting where the research is coming from, so look for that. But yeah, hopefully when we talk about it months later, everyone else will be talking about it because we're going to be cutting edge, especially with the access that I have to research.
She piqued my interest, and I'm part of the show, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't already done so, please go ahead and give us a like. You can find us either on Facebook or on Instagram as well. Instagram, obviously, you can find shorter clips and images and whatnot. But here on Facebook is where you'll find our live shows every Monday at 11:30 a.m. And so I don't know if you have anything else that you want to share with everyone. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and close out the show.
Remember, we are not the experts on you. You are the expert on you. Bring your questions. And if I don't have an answer, I promise we will do the research. The other thing I want to let you know, too, is that I'm humbled by those of you that participate. And we hope that as you ask questions, we can continue to grow the show in the direction that you see value. We've already been told by several entrepreneurs that they'd like feature shows, like talking about how to do an interview, how to do an effective hiring, how to build a team. So we're going to be doing some of those things too. And those are requests that we're getting from our audience. So keep giving us that. We are here at your service. And truly, Carla, and I know you feel the same way, the reason we're doing this is to deliver value to you guys, because we know that if we deliver value to you, just like our logo says, if we deliver value to you, we're going to be successful.
All right. I don't think anything is required to be said at this point. She said it better than any of us in the room did. That's why she got paid the big bucks this year. So, all right. Is there anything else? How about Gallery, Peanut Gallery over here? Hold on, let's pan around and show everybody and say hi real quick to everybody. Hi. We've got a couple of other folks here, part of the production. And again, the shows are going to get better and better and better as we get along. We appreciate your patience. And above all, we appreciate your participation and your continuing viewership. And without further ado, thanks for watching this week. We'll see you next week on
Namaste.
Paradigm of Profit. Thank you.